Good morning, everyone. You know, I'm the seventh out of 8 children in my family, so that makes me the littlest boy in the family. And when we were growing up, my siblings and I made a lot of kind of amateur judgments about what is fair and what is not fair. For example, it was clearly not fair when I was a little boy that my older siblings got to stay up later than I did, right? And they thought it wasn't fair that I had fewer chores than they did, right? Now this, of course, was not unique to our family. I think the children in every family are concerned with fairness, right? If a parent goes for a whole week without hearing, "It's not fair," they're probably doing something wrong, right? But it's only human nature to want to be treated fairly, right? We expect that in our families. We expect that in society, right? But there's a difference between perceived fairness and perceived unfairness and actual unfairness. And the unfairness that I experienced as a little boy wasn't really unfairness. It was just my perception, my limited perspective as a child. But right now, in our country, there's a lot of civil unrest because many, many people are treated unfairly simply because of the color of their skin or the origin of their birth. Right? That's actual unfairness that we need to kind of figure out, right, to get to address effectively as a society. But I digress a little bit. The gospel passage that we just heard, it sounds like a story about unfairness, doesn't it? I mean, if I'm honest with myself, if I'm one of those early laborers who got hired early, I am going to be grumbling at the end of the day if I see that the guy who showed up at 5 o'clock got the same pay as I did. I worked all day in the hot sun. This guy probably didn't even break a sweat, right? If this happened today, it would be a big news story, right? There would be lawsuits, there would be protests, people carrying signs, you know, fair treatment for the full-day laborer, right? But this is not a story about fair labor practices, right? God doesn't deal in fairness and unfairness. Those are human constructs. God deals only in love. And this is a story about love. About the love of God. See, the message of this parable is really that it's never too late to be saved, right? A person who lives a life of sin and debauchery and has a deathbed conversion has the same chance at salvation as someone who lives a holy and pious life. Now, that doesn't seem fair, does it? But it is fair because there's another message in this gospel, and that is the power of love. Right? God's love is offered to every human being abundantly, without any withholding in any way whatsoever. And those of us who accept God's love know that we have an obligation to love as God loves. If we really did do that, there would be no such concept as fair or unfair. Right? There would only be love. But the fact that we have those concepts convicts us of not loving as God loves, convicts us of being human. But the more we strive towards that perfect love, the closer we get to a world where there is no unfairness. And so this morning we gather as a community as we prepare to share the most sacred meal. Let's pause for a moment and ask God for the grace to love as God loves. To move toward that place where there is no unfairness, but only love.